Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Retail Insider. Joining me today is Emily Hosie, who is founder and CEO of Rebelstork. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, you folks are a great marketplace for shopping and selling gently used baby gear, but you've now entered into also a partnership with Monty Kids. Can you describe a little bit about that partnership and what that's all about?
Yeah, so I mean, we started the business as a marketplace, and over time or the past 3 years, we've had a lot of brands coming to us saying, we'd like to be involved in resale, and we don't really have the capacity to do so. You guys have all the logistics down pat. How can we get involved? So we basically built the technology to allow for small retailers, big retailers, small direct-to-consumer brands, large direct-to-consumer brands in the baby gear space to launch into a resale program that is direct to their customers, their full price customers, providing a service for when they're done with their product. But they don't have to do any of the work because it's Rebelstork that's powering the logistics and whatnot of it and the resale of those items. So that's kind of how it all began. And then we launched that side of our business, the B2B SaaS platform called The Relevable.
And tell me a little bit about what your vision is looking forward. Do you see further partnerships?
Yeah. So because our marketplace sits on top of an AI pricing algorithm, the first in the baby gear space, it powers our marketplace, but it's also now powering this Relevable Collective, which is our B2B SaaS. And so, the mission of the Relevable Collective is for brands and retailers to join us and to agree that, the lifespan of a baby gear product does not end at that first purchase. Yeah. And there's a lot of opportunity to help customers resell it safely, but then also to potentially bring in a customer that maybe didn't know about your brand to experience your brand and discover your brand on our marketplace. So yeah, I mean, we have partnerships set up to go live all the way throughout Q3 into Q4 at this point.
Okay, and tell me a little bit about Monty Kids. What is that, and what do they specialize in?
Yeah, Monty Kids is an amazing company. It's a Montessori toy company, and they offer a bunch of different products. What we are working with them on for their trade-in program is their Montessori level kits. So it's all based on age, and so it's phenomenal. So the parent buys the kit. They use it for the 0 to 6 month time frame. They can then trade in their kit. They can decide if they want cash or if they want Monty site credit to kind of trade in, trade up to the next kit. It's been a mixed bag. Some parents want the cash, some parents want the credit, and it's been interesting. So we went live a couple of weeks ago, and it's all of that product that parents are trading in is arriving at our facility in East Williamsburg in Brooklyn, and where it's quality and condition checked by our team and listed on the site for resale.
Okay, and can you talk a little bit about that, the technology behind all this? How long has it taken? Maybe describe a little bit of the technology that's being used.
Yeah, so Rebelstork, the original idea for Rebelstork all started with a pricing algorithm. We didn't really talk about it at the beginning, but the algorithm, which her name is Rev, was the base of the entire business. And then we built a marketplace on top of it. And we were developing the algorithm while the marketplace was growing. And in January, we decided as a team, the algorithm is it's a tool. It's like a must-have tool for parents. I was pregnant with my daughter or just about to deliver my daughter. And when I was building her nursery, granted I'm biased because I own Rebelstork, but I was using the algorithm to help me decide on what to buy, because my end goal was I knew my baby was going to grow out of it and I wanted to make as much money back as possible. And the algorithm is able to see what the real-time demand is for different baby gear models. So I was using it as a way to shop for baby gear, whether I was purchasing used baby gear or some items I purchased brand new. But I was using it as a tool to help me make informed decisions. You know, $1,000 stroller isn't $1,000 if the demand for it in the resale space is 700. It's a $300 stroller. So kind of getting into that mind frame. So we decided as a company to pull out the algorithm, name her Rev, and offer her out to the public in both all across North America, Canada, and the US to be a tool for parents to make hopefully more informed purchasing decisions when they're building their registry, as well as when it's time to sell. Knowing, you know, when's the right time to sell this. You know, we had it was interesting with some of the supply chain issues. There were some items that the rev value of the item resale was more than buying it brand new because you couldn't get it brand new. So parents, now's the time to sell it. Like there's no depreciation. So it was hopefully informing parents, you know, don't hold on to that, you know, get rid of it and sell it and make as much money as you can back. So that's kind of the tech that powers the entire marketplace. And now the Relovable Collective, our B2B SaaS. So it's pretty cool.
So this truly makes you international, right? In terms of your reach.
Yeah. So we obviously we are a Canadian company and our headquarters is Toronto. We expanded out to Vancouver during the pandemic. And then it feels like yesterday, but it's been 2 months that we've been live in the US. So we ship across all of North America now. Our selling service is available in the greater New York metro area, and our US headquarters is in Brooklyn. Okay,
super. Tell me a little bit about where you see the future of resale in general. Like, you see it, popping up everywhere now, even, with luxury items and goods. Why are we seeing such a surge in that resale market?
I think that there's a few reasons. I think obviously the economy plays a role in it. I think that the environment plays a huge role in it. And I think that the consumer is changing. So, specifically in the baby space, millennial and Gen Zs are becoming parents. And I'm a millennial mom, and I grew up buying and selling on Poshmark and RealReal. And, I have a baby and I want to be able to do the same thing with my baby stuff. I think that, just the structure of the family is very different. 72% of families now are dual income. That's very high compared to, past generations. And I think we value our money differently. I think that we realize how hard it is. You need to work to get money. And I think, we want to have nice things for our kids, but we also ideally want to get as much money back as we can and, buy quality to sell it. So I think it's a mixed bag. The environmental issues is a huge problem. And so I think that that's from a consumer side. From an industry side, I think that brands and retailers are also thinking about sustainability, and they're realizing that they've got to make some moves. Maybe some of the practices that were totally okay a decade ago are just not environmentally acceptable at all. Yeah. And so how can they get involved? So I think it's a mixed bag of, a few different factors that are all changing at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about Rebelstork. Tell me the story behind how and why you started this up.
Yeah, so I worked in retail. So I was a divisional vice president of merchandising for Winners and Marshalls. And prior to that, I was living in New York. I was a vice president of product development for Saks Fifth Avenue. And I didn't actually know much about the baby space at all until I got pregnant and, buying all of this stuff. And I was like, it was so expensive. I was like, this is insane that all of this stuff costs this much. And you really don't know, you're buying for a baby that hasn't told you what they even like. So you're just spending money. Your baby comes. And so my son hated his swing, but it was like $300. And so I tried to sell it, and I was researching. And again, I'm a real girl. Like, I buy and sell handbags and designer shoes and whatnot day in and day out. And there was nowhere for me to do that for baby gear. And I remember going on Kijiji, or I think Facebook Marketplace, and listing it. And I was like, I don't want to spend my time doing this. I'd rather spend my time with my son. So that's kind of where the idea came from. When I did finally meet somebody in a parking lot, which that's even absurd, with my son in the back, like this, met somebody in a parking lot to sell this swing. They didn't bring me the right amount of cash, but I was like, well, what, I don't have any. So I'm kind of been, it hasn't been a good experience. And that's when I really realized that there's a huge pricing discrepancy. Like, there needs to be something that parents can reference to know that they're not overspending or underselling what the actual value of this product is. And so that's kind of how it all started, and then went from there.
How about the name? How did that come about?
I don't know. I remember where I was I was at the gym on the elliptical, and I was like it was right when I was given permission to exercise again. And I remember, like, the name just came to me, and then I started crying on the elliptical. Like, the man next to me was like, "Ma'am, are you okay?" And I was like, "I found the name for my company." And he was like, "What a weirdo." And but, like, I was so emotional about it. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just, something about doing things differently. And we're truly trying to partner with brands and retailers to help them, and parents to help them, hassle-free and safely participate in the resale economy. Because if Rebelstork didn't exist, baby gear resale is still happening. Like, it's a huge industry.
Yeah.
We just want to try and make it a little bit safer and more convenient, because there's a lot of moms and dads, I think, like me, where I'm relying on convenience to survive. Like, we've got 2 kids under the age of 4. We're both working. Like, I don't want to meet somebody in a parking lot.
Yeah, I hear you. So I'm just curious, in terms of the items that are on the platform, what's the most popular? Is it fixed? Like, is it like things like strollers and that type of stuff, or is it clothing?
It's all gear. So there's no apparel. So it's
No apparel.
all,
Okay.
it's strollers, it's nursery furniture, it's bouncers, it's carriers. We do not do resale apparel.
Okay. And the reason for that?
We just wanted to start here and start with the big stuff. And, the apparel is a whole other beast. Never say never, but it just isn't our focus.
Okay. So, and when did you start Rebelstork? How long ago was that?
We just celebrated our 3rd birthday. This week is birthday week. If you follow our Instagram, it's been a week of celebration. And we actually are entering into our next US city in 2 weeks. So I can't tell you where, but it's exciting. So things are happening pretty quickly over here.
Okay, just for timing purposes, I'll have to tell the audience that this is being taped and on Friday, July 29th. So we'll see just in terms of a time reference there. When you look at your company, what was the biggest challenge you face as being an entrepreneur?
I think that there's 2 main. I would say one of the challenges is it can be lonely. Like, it's hard, and you've got responsibilities to your shareholders. You've got responsibilities to your team. A lot of members from on Team Rebby they were colleagues of mine from my past. So they all resigned from these great companies and great roles to come join the vision and build the company. So, that I found, I don't never want to let anybody down. I want to always, make sure that everybody's like, wow, that was the best decision of my life, or that was the best company to invest in, or whatnot. So I think there's that. I think anytime you are entering in, trying to do something that hasn't been done before, there's always the first adapters who are like, this is amazing. We believe in this company. And then there's resistance, right? And so I think it's a mixed bag, and that sometimes can be hard. Like when you start a company, there's a lot of rejection. Like it's a lot. And so you have to have really thick skin. And usually the rejection is so sad at the time, but then when you look back, you're like, well, thank goodness that was a rejection, because that would have been a terrible decision or a terrible way to go. So usually you have to believe in, the door's shut for a reason. It's because that's not the path you need to be taking. But those would be the two things: is when you're doing something new, there's resistance and you have to just keep believing and moving forward. And then obviously just being a founder is a whole other experience.
So when you look back three years ago and where you were, and consider where you are today as a company, and being on that elliptical 3 years ago, are you kind of shocked, stunned at the success that this has grown to?
Yeah, I mean, we pulled together like a video for our third birthday week, and like Rebelstork started in my basement. Like it started in the basement. You couldn't even walk into our house because there was baby gear everywhere, like lined up against the wall. There were boxes everywhere. Like in hindsight, it was like, that's not even safe. Like that's a fire hazard, but that's where it started. And so, yeah, now to be sitting here with, a 30-person team and 3 facilities across Canada and, growing across the US, it is pretty crazy, but I feel like we haven't even scraped the tip of the iceberg. So there's still a lot to be done. We're not done yet.
Okay, super. And look forward to seeing and following the path that Rebelstork is taking in the next few months and coming years. Thanks very much for joining us today, Emily.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, super. That was Emily Hosie, who is founder and CEO of Rebelstork. I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Retail Insider. Thanks for joining us today.